Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm delighted to be joined, firstly by Caroline Cahill and by Joey Kennedy. So, Caroline, we'll start with you this evening. How are you keeping?
We're keeping sunny side out, John, as we can on a cold and bitter day that it is.
This is it. And the theme tonight is reaching out during the pandemic. I mean, I know you're involved with your group there. Like, how has that affected? How has COVID-19 affected your activities and your fundraising?
Well, as you know, I'm part of the Arthritis Ireland Laois branch. So for us, we are indoors now because ours are mainly walking groups, outdoor activities, but because the weather's severe and the arthritis can be so bad, it's us indoors and the weather stays outside. So we're sort of moving everything indoors the best we can now. So we're really only doing WhatsApp, Zooms, like any chance we get. We link in with all the other branches. Like, I mean, there's Kilkenny, there's Cork, there's Dunleary, Rathdowney, there's Kilkenny, Kildare, and everybody's doing, say, like getting in contact with. Tomorrow morning to have Professor Luke O'Neill is doing a speak on the COVID-19, of course, a little bit of information on the vaccine and any other information and questions, I suppose he can help with people. And everybody is either doing nutrition, you know, what to be eating, what's the best for you at this time of the year, and then try and find some sort of activities to keep people moving, because let's face it, when you've got any sort of condition, the worst thing you can do is give into it. So movement for us is the best medicine.
Absolutely.
Little and often, or as much as possible without overdoing it, but it doesn't matter. Anything at all. It doesn't matter whether you're dancing around the kitchen, you're walking around your garden, you're doing the steps of the stairs, whatever you can. It's only a little bit of imagination, and we try and get people to do anything they can. And the Zoom is brilliant because when they can see so many others, and it's only for fun, you never mention the word exercise. We just say we're here for the crack, and that tends to do better. And in actual fact, for this lockdown, being the third one, we probably are getting more than we would have on the first or the second. I think people are adapting a little better, or else they realise this is the way it's going to be for a while. So that's what we're doing now as best we can. I work with Laois Sports Partnership as well, so they're a fantastic group. And the Laois PPN keep in touch with us as well. So anything they have going or anything they can help or any information, they link in with us as well. So to be honest, we're just keeping ourselves busy and trying to keep ourselves out of trouble.
Absolutely. But there's so many online meetings and webinars now. You could literally be on Zoom every day of the week.
Oh, you could. You get nothing done in the house if you were to do that. No, that's the truth. I didn't attend school as well as I'm attending these Zooms, and that's the truth. But I suppose you learn something new from everything. So, I mean, you just have to go with the flow. I mean, we don't always get it right, but sure, look at, if you don't chance your arm, you won't know whether you missed anything or not. You know what I mean? I'm sure. Too much knowledge, you know, can be a dangerous thing too, but sometimes the curiosity is just enough to get you going, you know, that sort of way. So if you pick up something and someone else picks up something, so when we all actually get together, we'll have some crack and we'll share a lot of information that we probably, some might get and more might miss, because not everybody gets the Zoom. Not everybody's internet friendly, and then not everybody's internet is good. And with homeschooling now as well, it's a lot harder on people as well, so you have to try and work around them. So sometimes you get an evening time and sometimes you try and do days, but to be honest, sure, you can only do your best.
And for prospective members, people who want to join in the activities, what's the best way for them to reach out, Caroline?
Well, they can either go on we actually have a Facebook page, which is the Arthritis Ireland Laois branch. They can get in touch with me on my own Facebook. They only have to follow Laois Sports Partnership, and they advertise if we're doing it. And to be honest, if we're not running anything and Laois Sports Partnership are running it, we join in with them. And if there's another group out there doing something, because not everybody wants to admit to have arthritis. It's not something you go around wearing a jersey and say, here I am. You try and hide the fact you have it, and you try and work with people who have it like you. So you're at the one pace. So I encourage you, you encourage me, and we'll bring along the next person and tell a few jokes. And we never mention the word arthritis if we can help it. You know, it's like
Great.
having the flu. You don't want to be reminded you have the flu. You want to talk about everything else. You don't talk about the COVID because everybody's talking about the COVID. So you catch up on other things. And that's the way we do it. So, and a phone call, my phone number is not private. I don't mind talking to anybody anytime, as long as it's not within my sleep hours, 8 hours at night. After that, I'm available, no problem at all.
Very good, very good. You keep it light, upbeat and positive.
Oh, I have to. I think positivity is more what people need. There's an awful lot of negativity.
Correct.
And it can get in on people's head. Do you know it can actually get in on your own head if you do?
Absolutely.
So I say it's mind over matter. I don't mind, and it certainly doesn't matter. So it's working.
Brilliantly put.
Yeah, it's
brilliantly put.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And over to our next guest, Joey Kennedy. Joey, how are you this evening?
Good, not too bad. How are you keeping?
Great. How are things in Port Arlington?
Good, cold. Waiting here eagerly for the snow, but might not come.
Yes.
No, it
might not happen.
Yeah.
And Joey, we have you on because you're a recently appointed climate ambassador.
Yes.
And you've done your training recently. What's that all about?
Well, the Climate Ambassador Program is a program set up by Antashka and the Department of Climate to educate people, really. So I'm to go out to my community and to my school community to make people more aware of the climate crisis and how they can help every little bit.
That's wonderful. And have you always been interested in the environment and climate change and things, topics like that?
Well, when I first got into really, climate, when I started secondary school in Clongowes College in Clane, there was a Green Schools program which primary and secondary school gets involved in all around the country, but Clongowes didn't get involved and Clongowes weren't in the program. So when I entered my second year in Clongowes, I said, right, we'll set it up. So we set up Green Schools in my school, and overall we've put in bin stations all around the campus. We've put up our notice board, and we've actually, in our fourth year program, we've set up a Green Schools class where each fourth year student has 1 hour of class to learn about climate and how they can, every little helps and how they can help it.
That's brilliant. And absolutely. Fantastic, Caroline. You're right. And Joey, have you similar plans for the town of Port Arlington?
Well, I would like to, there's 5 training nights. So I've done 2, just got one off there tonight. And they're kind of training us how to collaborate with people with tidy towns and like go to schools and give talks. They're fantastic in the department. They give you loads of PowerPoints to show to schools and to primary schools. So I'm looking forward to the next year.
Yeah, isn't it marvelous, Caroline? That basically, I don't want to offend you, Joey, but the kids are teaching the kids.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, let's face it. Even when it comes to the internet now, the children are teaching the adults.
Yeah,
it's a long way from a brick phone we are now. I can tell you.
It is.
I mean, some of us is looking for an app and they've nearly eaten it. They've read to find it that quickly. So I mean, children are the future, and if you don't watch them, they're likely to pass you by and be waving at you as they're going out the door, and you're wondering where they're going next.
Yeah.
But the technology is brilliant, and it's been spread for everything, and children, they're so easily going when something is designed and shown a benefit. They have great heart. They love to see the change, and they do love to see the improvement, because even when the green flag, do you remember when it came out first?
Yes.
God, you get so excited, and when they came home, then if you dropped a paper, you'd be shot. You could be shot. and then you start looking around and you realize, like, it's the simple things really. But it's like everything, you always forget the basics. You think you have to move on to the 10th step, and you haven't taken the second one yet. So everybody, I think this time is taking a step back, and with spending more time outdoors and seeing more, and you can hear the birds more, the smelling of even the cars are less. It's fantastic. Even in my own route in Portlaoise, I would probably do, as we call it, the ring road, like going around for Mount Mellick. They would have done from Portlaoise College, that new road.
Yes.
And the amount of people, let it be young, old, middle-aged, it makes no difference. And they can all you can hear them nattering, you can hear them chatting, and even if it's across the road, you're shouting hello, because they just seem to have the time and more aware of what's actually going on around them, which is brilliant also,
Yeah, it's one of the positives from the pandemic, Caroline. You're right there. But Joey, I was reading another positive from this terrible pandemic is that our emissions in 2020, they were either down 5.6% or 5.9.
5.6. Yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah, that was a fantastic aspect of the pandemic. We saw, people just take a step back, and we saw nature step forward, and we saw nature taking kind of their habitat back while we hid away. And I think we need more. I think we need to let the earth breathe a bit more like that again going on. Like we saw in Venice how the canals cleared up, China how the air pollution, the air quality went fantastic. So there is evidence there that if people step back a bit, nature will step up.
Yeah, you're just basically you're given nature, Mother Nature and Mother Earth a bit of breathing room.
Breathing room, yeah, exactly. But you're, even if you live, like I live in a housing estate myself, and you can actually see the birds coming in to the back garden, like.
Yeah.
Any sign of a drop of bread or any even if it's out of a dog's dish, it makes no difference. But there's so many. They're in groups. Like there could be 15. Like I mean, you'd have to say like this time last year, you'd be lucky if you saw a few. You'd be lucky if you even heard them. But there's robins everywhere, even in the little hedges when you're going out. You just seem to hear music.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
NASA just came out with a report there of how the air quality has gotten so much better over the past year because, again, people are staying at home.
Yeah.
Using the car less, traveling less by plane.
Like air travel, Joey, I mean, do you think once the pandemic is over, are we going to go back to the way we commuted, the way we went away at the drop of a hat for weekends abroad? What do you think we will change our habits, in other words?
I don't know. I think people are very eager to get out of the country, want to go to some sunlight in Spain. But I also, during the pandemic, we saw a lot of people going down to the south of the country, into the west, enjoying our own country here ourselves. But, I do think a lot of people will leave the country for holidays, for a bit of sun as well.
Yeah,
I think with the greenways and even the county council and all the efforts they're putting in, you can see different routes popping up. It doesn't matter whether it's for a walk, whether it's your bicycle, whether it's a family to emo. Like I mean, the forests seem to be the visit now. It used to be staying around the lake and whatever, but people is actually venturing in.
Yeah.
And they're looking for the snowdrops. They're looking for the bluebells because they actually got a slight glance last year and probably didn't appreciate it and said, right, this is around for the second time, so we're not going to miss it. So if you're lucky enough to be in, of course, your 5-kilometer walk, well, then you're having a field day with the likes of Emo and places like that. But even Wood is working.
I'm lucky here now for Portarn. We have the Derryounce Lake.
Oh, geez, I love Derryounce.
And it's absolutely, and the committee there keep it so well.
Oh, fantastic.
Like it's very rare you'd find a piece of litter there. And it's so nice when you're walking not to see litter. It really is.
Oh, it is brilliant.
Everywhere. It's everywhere.
Absolutely.
It's fantastic. Colin and the team, they really keep it well.
Oh, they do. Donny and all up with the shoulder to the wheel, yeah. And as well as that, then you have the heritage and all those. Like there's so many different groups out there now that they can actually go looking for funds that'll help them to make it better. And I mean, Derryounce is only getting bigger. Like it's only going to get bigger and better, in fairness to it. I'd love to see Tucker Wood, if that could come on even half as good. And it's a very popular place for running and whatever. And
correct.
You can't get lost in it. It's a fantastic, short, long, make it whatever way you like, rough or not so rough. But if they were to do the same with little places like that, like the town parks, even for the exercise and equipment, it's children are actually looking to go out and use this sort of stuff. The tablets, I know they're addictive and whatever, but they're only addictive while they're indoor. You open the door and let them out, and they don't want to know about a tablet and they don't want to know about a phone. And I think that's fantastic as well.
Like here in town, there's the park, and they went the opposite way to Lee Castle, and they put a new walkway there, and it's showing that more people want to get out more and get a bit more fresh air.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably forgot. But then when you're working and you're trying to keep a family and you're trying to keep everything shipshape as you do, because your bills take over, your family life takes over. I mean, I think children and some families actually benefited more from this lockdown because they actually got family time that they had lost. And they get to sit down now and have a dinner together instead of coming home at maybe 8 or 9 and the child has gone to bed and someone else spent the day minding them. And I think an awful lot of those family turn around and said, like, let the door open quick and we go walking, because you just don't know when it could have, at the time, we didn't know when the lift was going to be lifted, and you could have had to go back to normal as we call it, in the blink of an eye, and it could have been all taken away. But I think children actually know who their mommy and daddy is, and they get a couple of hours and they're going, Jesus, you know, this is fantastic for them. I know they probably missed the schooling end of it, but you know, if it's a small thing, but as long as they're doing some exercise and work, it's good.
I think that's what we saw with the lockdown. They went back to the table as a family.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, they spend more, and you know, some families might have pulled each other's hair out, but that when you spend too much time together, that happens. But I think the lockdown,
the family now, they forgot how to link in, and then when they managed to know on Tuesday Molly's not good and on Thursday Ben's worse, so they figured it out. Now they're good again. It's all getting to know one another again, isn't it?
Absolutely. And ladies and gents, we're delighted to be joined by our last guest this evening, Trudi Lalor. Trudy, how are you this evening?
John, thank you so much for having me. I'm absolutely delighted to be here with you. I'm doing good. You know, the last year, obviously, John, was very difficult for us in the Irish music industry. Our business was completely decimated. So it's coming up to a year since I actually last performed on stage in front of an audience. So initially, the first couple of months were fine. You know, as I said, like most people, you were getting your house in order, your garden in order. We had a beautiful summer. The weather was gorgeous. So it was like a holiday, which we all felt that we needed, really, because particularly the Irish country music industry has been just hugely popular in the last number of years, with a lot of more shows than would have been when I first started out at 25 years ago. There's a lot of festivals now taking place during the summer with our music. So it was particularly busy. So we welcomed the bit of a break initially, John. But then it comes into the autumn time and you're into another lockdown. And Christmas particularly was probably very strange for us, because it's usually one of the busiest times in the year for any singer and performer, and we weren't working. Now, while I embrace the fact that I actually had some quality time finally with some members of my family, and I was delighted that my dad was able to come down from Mountrath and stay with us here at Tipperary for the Christmas. And my brother Derek, who lives in Dublin, he was able to come down as well and spend time with us. That was beautiful. It was fabulous. But I felt there was something missing, and it's probably the live performance of connecting with an audience. So that was probably more difficult for a lot of my colleagues, really, John, because a lot of them didn't have any outlet. Where I still have the radio show every Sunday on Tip FM. And that gave me some kind of a focus and discipline to be able to continue what I do and play music and chat and do interviews. But I noticed a lot of my colleagues were very down and out. So it hasn't been easy, but you know, we're doing good now.
And has that inspired the Reaching Out campaign that you launched?
It did, John. Yeah, that was actually the inspiration, and that was the idea behind it, was to connect as many fans of Irish country music with their favourite country star. Because in country music, particularly in Ireland, it's quite unique in the sense that there is very little division between the audience and the performer. In most cases, at the end of a show, a singer in Irish country music will get down off stage, they'll shake hands, they'll hug their audience. It's like a family. They will stand in for selfies and sign autographs all night. There is no limit on the time that they spend with their audience. So therefore, not only were the singers missing actually performing, but the fans were absolutely devastated with the continuous lockdown. And naturally, health is most important. But a lot of people base their lives and their social lives around going to see their favourite singer. So my husband, Billy Morrissey, and I were out walking, which we do almost every day, with our dog. And we were chatting about the impact the pandemic is having on our business, and particularly the impact it's having on the fans of the Irish country music scene. And Billy just suggested, wouldn't it be lovely if there's some way we could come up with something that maybe could connect the fans with the singer? And we're saying, well, how could that happen now? Because we're all in lockdown, we can't meet anyone. I said, well, what about a simple phone call? So I was doing my radio show the next Sunday, and I just said, look, instead of giving away a prize on air, how would you feel if I asked you, would you nominate somebody who they believe is deserving of a personal phone call from their favorite Irish star? Now, at this stage, John, I had no singers lined up to take part in this. It was very last minute. And within 20 minutes, there was over 600 messages had come into us. Basically, people nominating somebody for that personal phone call. So then my phone started lighting up, and it was all the singers, you know, from Mike Denver to Robert Mazzell and Margot. They all got in touch with me while I was in air, thought it was an incredible idea. And they said, well, we want to be on board. We want to connect with our fans. They've always been there for us, and we can't do anything else, only make a phone call to them. But we want to do that. Now, a lot of them have great relationship anyway with their fans down through the years. But what we wanted was a little bit different. We wanted somebody who we felt was deserving of that personal phone call, John. So it could have been somebody, mainly people living on their own, people that are self-isolating, special children who are struggling under the school environment, being at home, the homeschooling, mums and dads that are stressed out with the homeschooling, and also a lot of frontline workers are being nominated. We didn't think it was going to come to the stage where it is. It's just literally snowballed from that day, that Sunday morning, 4 Sundays ago when I first announced it. And it has just grown and grown. And we haven't had to ask any singer to take part in this. We've over 74 of Irish country singers, from the stadium artists like Nathan Carter, Daniel O'Donnell, to the newcomers as well, like Alex Rowe coming along. So it's been an incredible journey. It's given us so much to think about. It's been a wonderful focus for me and for the other singers, and to be able to bring some positivity and joy to people's lives in a time, John, that has just been terribly difficult for so many people.
It has. And now I know the other Trudy in the house and Evan, they have loads of questions for you, and for Caroline and for Joey.
Brilliant.
I think that's just amazing, other Trudy. I think it's so personal, you know, and I've been to a couple of country music concerts where it's not about the singer, it's not about the song, it's about the package, you know. And I always say, as a tour guide, and it works this way too, it's not just the places that you go to, it's the people you meet along the way or along your journey in life that make it just that. And that is what everyone is missing. And to give, you know, that's free. That's a phone call. That costs nothing. So I have to say congratulations and fair play. And to everybody that jumped on board as well. I think it's brilliant.
Thank you.
The other thing is your music and your songs. I know because I was coming talking to you this evening, I've been talking to my customers and my guests, and the one that you're known overseas for is obviously Lovely Leash. But other than that, say like today, the song that you had come out today, what inspires you to write music? Like obviously we're Irish, word gets around is today, right? But what inspires your songwriting? How do you come up with? I'm thinking of people who are thinking of getting into the industry or just sitting down and writing a song. How do you do that? What inspires you to come up with something?
I have to say, Trudy, I don't write. I've written one song, but it's my husband, Billy Morrissey, does all the writing. Wow. Yeah, so he writes the songs. He tests me like a guinea pig. Will you sing this? What does that sound like? And I'll know straight away when I hear the song if it's meant for me. I could also hear certain songs that would be meant for other singers in our genre. And it's probably unique in the sense that Billy never wrote songs at all in all his life. Been on the road. He's been part of the Morrissey family folk group for over 40 years. And he went into promoting then and management. And then only in the last probably 10 years, he started to write. And the very first song he wrote was a song called Old Friends Are Best, which was a song I recorded. We actually did the video up in Abbey Leaks, up in McAvoy. It was a great night altogether to do the video there. And Daniel went on to record it. And so I probably I'm very lucky that he is such a great songwriter, and he's written so many wonderful songs. And also he teamed up with a great songwriter from Nashville called Max T. Barnes. And Max T and his late dad, Max D, wrote over 33 #1 American hits for so many singers like Garth Brooks and George Jones and all these people. So Max looks on Ireland as his second home. So we teamed up with him about 4 or 5 years ago, and a great friendship was found. And he and Billy have written so many songs, including a new song that we're releasing this coming Sunday on my radio show, and it's called Reach Out. And it's very moving, Trudy, because it's all the singers that are involved in the Reach Out project for the first time have come together to record this song. And it's an original song, as I said, written by Billy and Max. And the song is probably what some of the singers have called it. It's like a country live aid. It's all the singers are singing a different line, and then everyone sings the chorus. So it's very moving. And it's going to be available for download this Sunday from 1:00, with all the proceeds going directly to Childline and the ISPCC. Brilliant. So we're really excited about that. It's part of the project that we've been working on, but we never thought about maybe bringing a song. We didn't think the whole Reach Out project would go on for so long. So the singers then said, look, we have to get a song. We have to get a song. So we were listening to different songs, and in the end, then Billy and Max said, look, we'll write one. So the singers are delighted. Every one of them that are involved in the project are part of it. We're just delighted.
It sounds like the obvious next step, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's even called, like, the name Reach Out. It just fits to what's going on today. And even though we can't physically reach out, there are other ways, and it's just lifting people up and reaching out, isn't it?
Well, that's right, Trudy. You're not physically touching the person because you can't, but you're touching them with a phone call, which a lot of people who are receiving these calls said, while I've been a big fan of all these singers, Michael English and Declan Nerney and Sandy Kelly, all the various artists that are involved in the project, we never really got to speak to them. But with a personal phone call, you're actually on a one-to-one. And it's very moving. It's been amazing, actually. And we've also welcomed so many non-verbal people as well, where a lot of the singers have actually done a video call and spoken to the person who would be non-verbal and maybe their carer with them. Also, a lot of phone calls went out to nursing homes, hospitals, people who are recovering from COVID, special children again, and people who are frontline workers. There was one particular nurse. She was there was two of the sisters, actually. They work in Mullingar Hospital, and they had just finished a shift. One of the nurses is over 10 COVID patients, and she had just come off her shift, and she received a phone call from John Hogan and burst out crying and couldn't believe it, that this kind of stuff is what's happening, Trudy. And what's amazing about it is just that people are not nominating themselves. So even if they're a big fan, just say of Derek Ryan or whoever else is involved, they're not looking for that phone call for themselves, which is very moving. I think that's the real good thing that's come out of this whole pandemic, is people have started to care again about their fellow man. And that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, it's very touching. It really, actually, do you know what another step could be? When all is done, you could take all the people, just as you said, that did the nominations and put them into a hat and take a few of them and surprise them with a phone call, maybe on air or something.
Yeah, which that's a nice idea, Trudy. That's a nice idea. Yeah, it is.
Because
it's lovely.
They didn't do it for themselves.
They didn't do it for themselves. And this is what's very moving. And it's not just even the messages that are coming into us daily. I mean, we're taking in probably about 1,000 messages a day at this stage. And the singers are doing it completely free with their time. They have time off. They said, listen, this is the least we can do. But yet they're still devoting themselves to the Reach Out project. They're still sitting down and making those calls. And what's amazing about it is if they don't get the person, they'll ring them back. So they leave a message. I've so many of them have left messages, and the fans would contact me and say, look, we missed the call. Oh, please, would they be able to ring back? And the singer will always ring back, Yeah.
Can you imagine getting that call
Wonderful.
and you missed the call? Oh my God, your heart. You just I love what you've done, and it's so personal, it's so touching, but I'm not a bit surprised. Country music singers, Irish country music singers, have such a huge reputation. I'm not a bit surprised.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I'll be honest, Trudy. I'm really proud. I'm proud of my colleagues. I'm proud of how they jumped on board without even being asked. And in a time, as I said, that our business is gone, you know, a lot of them are struggling with, you know, there's some of them struggling financially. A lot of our newer members to the Irish country music family, because they would have taken out, probably remortgaged their homes to buy band gear, equipment, a van, record an album. And yet, in the middle of their depths of despair, they still want to reach out and help others. I'm just really proud to be part of that family.
There's an awful lot of struggling musicians at the minute. Here's the thing, when all is said and done, and we're out of this tomorrow, what are you going to do? I'm remaining so focused at the moment with the reach out. I would like to be able to finish my album. I'm 25 years on the road this year, so I won't be celebrating anywhere at any shows. It'll be 2022. So we'll forget 1 year. It'll be 25 years next year. Absolutely.
We'll give it a skip. And so I've 3 tracks to finish for my 25-year celebration album. I had most of it done before the first lockdown, and we had great plans. But look, that's the way it is. We'll reschedule a lot of shows for 2022. It's going to be a phenomenal year for live music. I really believe that. We have so much positivity out there now in the world, which we all needed. And I think people are feeling more energetic now again. They're all excited about recording. They're all excited about going back performing. And there've been a huge boost to the fans as well that are missing the live music. So 2022, I think, will be massive for every artist. I really do. So my plan is to finish the album, put back in. Billy's already working on some concert dates for next year and overseas trips, events that we've missed out on. But I think it's been a good lesson for all of us in the music business. We were all probably working that bit too hard, and it's no harm to sit back a little bit and refocus and be ready for next year.
Definitely true. I don't think we needed or we foresaw a year, but yeah, you're right. Definitely.
Could you?
No, Evan was, go on, Evan.
Could you see yourselves doing maybe a big kind of gig with all country artists at the end of COVID?
Well, this is what, Evan, as a result of the Reach Out project, you know, already they're speaking about that the possibility maybe of a big show, a big concert with all the artists from the Reach Out project being part of it, which would be wonderful, and do it for charity. Something like that is probably down the road for us. There's talks about, first of all, doing a video to coincide with the Reach Out song that's coming out next Sunday, and also possibly an album as well, that all the proceeds, again, will go to charity. So that they're kind of the plans maybe down the road. But at the moment, it's really just about the fans. It's about connecting people that are lonely, lost, vulnerable, finding this very difficult in lockdown to cope. And it's really connecting as many singers with those people to give them that personal phone call and video call. So some of the singers are making up to like 20, 30 calls a day.
Could you see maybe more singers, not just Irish country singers, but worldwide getting involved?
Absolutely. Evan, we'd be over the moon. I mean, this isn't set up for us to be selfish in the Irish country music family. We're just leading the way in this. We're delighted that the response has been so big. A lot of other Irish singers in different genres, Evan, have already been in touch about coming under the umbrella of the Reach Out and reaching out to their fans. We'd be thrilled. We'd welcome everybody, from newcomers to people who are established on the road, to people who are playing, as I said, the stadiums. We welcome them all under the Reach Out umbrella. And Reach Out doesn't always have to be about singers either. It could be about yourself. You know, you could know that there's somebody that you haven't been in touch with in a couple of months or a year or so, that could do with a phone call. Let's reach out to our neighbours, people living in the next county, in the next town, in the next village, down the road from us. Let's lift the phone and see how they're doing. So I think it's getting broader now. There has been reports of people in America also latching on, and we were very, very lucky, which was amazing, that we got an email yesterday from the Consulate General in New York. So it's the Irish community in New York have come together about this Reach Out project. They've heard about it. And because we have reached out to so many Irish Americans that are struggling at not coming home. So we would only think it would be amazing if different genres of music and it's spread throughout the whole world. Wouldn't it be amazing? Yeah. If, you know, you got a phone call from Dolly Parton or Bruce Springsteen or whoever you love internationally, it'd be brilliant to get them on board as well. Yeah.
But it's such a wonderful story, Trudy. Thanks for doing it. It's so simple. The concept is so simple.
Concept is so simple, John. So simple. I suppose a lot of colleagues just said to me that it just took somebody to come up with it and execute it and put it together. And I suppose I'm fortunate that the singers trust me with their phone numbers. They'll probably delete me for all time whenever this is all over. But they're brilliant. So what happens is people nominate somebody through my public Facebook page. They private message me and they leave their person that they want to nominate. They leave their phone number and, give a little bit of background as to why this person is deserving of a phone call and who their favorite singer is. And we take it from there to filter through them, obviously, the real needing ones first and send them then to the singer. So I'd be texting all day. These are your messages for today. These are yours. They get through them then in their own time when they can, they get through them. But sometimes if it's really busy and the phone call is really needing and deserving, like a lot of people on their own tend to stay on maybe an hour on the phone, and the singer will be delighted to chat to them for however long they want to. Or if it's a bit shorter, they get through more. So it's been phenomenal really to get the response that we've been getting. But the singers do trust that the people I'm sending them are actually deserving. And I've also been very lucky that a girl reached out to me, Debbie Dowler is her name, and she set up a Reach Out 2021 Facebook page, and people have been contacting her, leaving nominations as well. So they're all coming through to me as well. Also, Orla Kelly, who's my niece living in Abbeyleix.
Yes.
Orla set us up on Instagram with the Reach Out movement, and that's only up since the other day. So a lot of people are following us and messaging us there as well. And through my radio show on a Sunday morning on Tip FM from 11 to 2. So I welcome everybody. There's a lot of Laois people have benefited, John, from these calls. And I want to continue to let people know we want them to be nominated. Think of somebody who is deserving. We're not easing up on any of this. We want to help as many as we can, and the singers want to do the same.
Well, I have to say,
brilliant.
When Evan said to Trudy there that when the artists would if the artists would come together at the end of lockdown, you said we do it for charity, and you just went through such a tough year, and you're still give to charity. I think that's amazing. Yeah,
well, thanks, Joey. Well, that's probably what's lovely about artistic people to begin with. They're sensitive to other people's feelings, and a lot of them, even though they're hugely successful, they want to give back. But what's really been an eye opener for me is the new people, the newcomers, the young people like yourselves that come into our business that haven't anything to give financially to anybody, but they have their time and they still put others first, because we thought even, was there any movement that we could maybe support if we did a concert to help musicians that are out of work or that need help? And every one of them said, no, we don't want it to be about us. We want it to be about others. So that's very moving,
Yeah. And as well as that, at the time that's in it, there's a lot of organisations like some of the ones you're helping have suffered too in trying to get funds for themselves because they're not able to do church gate collections, big collections that they would have done. A lot of people on the feet doing a lot of groundwork for them, and with us all stuck indoors. So for the likes of those, it's a fantastic opportunity for them as well to help with their expenses.
Yeah, well, that's correct, Caroline, because Childline seemed to be kind of an obvious fit for a lot of the singers because, again, it's a phone call. It's a child looking for help with a phone call. And of course, with so many homeschooling, a lot of domestic abuse is going on. Unfortunately, there are the sad things about lockdown. The ISPCs have said that they're inundated. Their numbers have soared, particularly in this lockdown, with children needing help. So we just thought this was one way that we could give back to be able to help support their system. And they're incredible people. They do wonderful work for children and so many volunteers as well. So we just felt it was a perfect fit.
Oh, it's a marvellous story.
Can I ask Trudy, ish and roughly, how many phone calls have been made?
I would say to date, probably heading for 4,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah, between all the singers. I know that Daniel telling me 150 calls in 3 days last week.
Oh,
alone.
Dear God.
And what's happening is they're reaching out to people, as I said, in America, in Australia, people that had planned to come home, our own native Irish people living abroad who had planned to come home for Christmas and couldn't. So they're feeling very isolated as well, even though their own working environment is probably normal for them, no matter where they're living. Australia, New Zealand, we had Alabama, we've the Irish living in Canada. They've been all in touch with us because they're worried about their parents at home. They're worried about their mom who's living on their own, or their dad, and asking, please, can you just ring my mother and father? I'm nominating them, or my sister or my niece or nephew that's struggling. It's incredible, the outpouring of love.
Do you feel like it's not just benefiting the people that are getting the calls, but also the singers that are making the calls?
Exactly. They're hugely benefiting them, because a lot of them were struggling in the last year with not performing. You know, singers need to sing, musicians need to play. And if they don't, they become ill, and they become very ill. So a lot of them were struggling at the best of times. So now they are feeling re-energized. They're feeling alive again, and they're getting more out of the phone call than the fan is.
Have you maybe thought of doing something like a live stream on a Saturday night or something, where one singer comes on and...
Yeah, it could be. You see, I suppose when we started out, Evan, we never thought it would. We never envisaged it would become this big. And some of the singers started off at the very start of lockdown last year doing some live Facebook shows, and they just didn't really like it afterwards. They just said, we still missed, you know, meeting our friends and meeting our public and meeting our audience, and it just wasn't the same. So a lot of them then stopped doing them. So it might be something that we will look at, definitely, you know, because there is virtual concerts starting to take place now on social media. And part of one actually this Sunday, a Valentine's concert. Daniel and Magella are on it, Nathan is on it, Mike Denver, so many more of us. And again, the proceeds are going to the Breast Cancer Research Institute in Galway, and that's free. That's on at 8:00. Any of you want to tune in? Valentine's concert before your own show. It's valentinesconcert.ie, and you just put that in, and the concert is free. And obviously, they hope that people will donate for breast cancer research.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So maybe that could be something down the road. What Evan suggested, we might be able to do for the Reach Out movement. Yeah.
We might have a fundraising concert too for the Arthritis group, Caroline.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic altogether.
Yeah.
I'd rope in every Arthritis group for that one.
Well, no better late. And Joey, just a quick question before we finish up for you. Like we've been talking about virtual concerts. We've been talking about virtual consultations. I mean, are there any other trends emerging because of the pandemic that would, in the long run, be good for the environment?
I don't know really. You know, we saw a lot of, you know, more activities like the Do It for Dan campaign, and we saw a lot more people getting outside and walking, who would have been going on road trips and going on this, so using their carbon emissions. So we saw a lot of people out on the road walking, which I thought was fantastic. And that's, you know, people are stuck inside, and I think that's like I said, the pandemic made us stand back and let the earth breathe. You know, people who are, you know, babies who are being born now, they'll be seeing the effects, because by the end of the century, when they're 80 years old, the earth will have the temperature has been increased by 2 degrees, and that will see thousands of storms around the world and everything. And you know, we might see some of Ireland being gone by the end of by the end of the century, because the sea level's rising. Some of Dublin will be gone, some of Cork. It's very scary, and I think that's what's brilliant about this world, is no matter who you are, no matter what you do or where you're from, you can be the one, you can be the person this world needs. Yeah. You can be the different, you can make that difference that can change the world. And I think everyone needs to, like John F. Kennedy said, every person can make a difference and every person should try. And I think everybody needs to try now. You've been brilliant. Thanks for this evening. We've had virtual consultations, virtual concerts. Trudy, our Trudy, co-host Trudy, very, very modest. You didn't mention your virtual tour coming up.
No, I didn't. Wow, yeah. And that ties in with everybody, really, doesn't it? So I have signed up to virtual trips, and I am doing my test next Wednesday for the Rock of Dunamaze, and I've nominated after that. Then once we make sure the signal is good enough, and we'll go worldwide with that. And we've other guides in Dublin. They're taking up to 250 guests per tour. It's all virtual.
Brilliant.
And you know, it's people who can't hear people who have illnesses and can't get out. It's doing lots of things. So hopefully
Brilliant.
the Rocket Donamae works. The next one will be Abbey Leaks.
Fantastic.
See?
Fantastic. Well done.
Multiply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Brilliant.
you're reaching out and you're doing good for the environment.
Yeah.
You're ticking a lot of boxes.
I am.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Well
Brilliant.
done.
So, and to Caroline, to Joey, to Trudy, thanks for coming along this evening.